There are many survivors of emotional abuse. If you think you are part of an emotionally abusive relationship, we encourage you to listen. Does any of this resonate? This is step 2 of 4 from the Survivor's Guidebook. The first step is awareness. The second step is education. Education is power. The more you know about your emotions and the emotions of the people around you, the better you can frame your life to be emotional abuse survivors too. We're here to guide you along the way. Throughout time, people and cultures have defined narcissists. Their survivors write the stories. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus wrote, "If you want to be admired, be prepared to be a slave." Why? Because admiration lives in other people's minds, which you don't control. A narcissist appears powerful, but is actually enslaved to approval. In Buddhism, narcissism is also addressed. In the Sutta Nipata 4.6, it is written, "One who is intoxicated with youth, life, or status does not see the truth." The famous Swiss psychiatrist and psychotherapist Carl Jung wrote extensively on narcissism and emotionally immature adults. Knowledge is power. In order to be able to handle narcissistic abuse, learning what types of narcissism to look out for can empower targets to see people with less emotional maturity than what is safe. There are many types of narcissism. It is not one size fits all. Let's dive into what types of narcissism exists. The grandiose or overt narcissist is the textbook version. Openly self-important, attention-seeking, dominant, brags, name drops, takes credit. They react with rage or contempt when challenged. The vulnerable or covert narcissist can be harder to spot. They are quiet, hypersensitive, victim-positioned. Same core entitlement and lack of empathy, but presented through self-pity, passive aggression, poor me narratives. Often the hardest to identify because they don't look like the stereotype. A malignant narcissist has grandiose narcissism with added sadism, paranoia, and aggression. Overlaps with antisocial traits. Takes pleasure in others' suffering. They are the most dangerous. The communal narcissist performs goodness publicly. The charity volunteer. The church leader, the everyone's favourite person who's cruel behind closed doors. Gets supply from being seen as the most generous, most spiritual, most selfless. A somatic narcissist derives supply from body, appearance, sexual conquests. They are obsessive about looks, fitness, attractiveness, status symbols tied to physicality. The cerebral narcissist derives supply from intelligence, credentials, being the smartest in the room. They often come across as condescending lectures. Well, actually, they're often in academics or a professional settings. As an added understanding, know that the communal narcissist is the hardest to spot, generous in public and merciless in private. Covert narcissism wears the mask of sensitivity. They are the victims in every story. The malignant narcissist doesn't just want to win, they want you to lose. There is a difference. Now that we know what types of narcissism exist, take a step back and learn what. Here are some of their tactics. Smear campaign. They are preemptive bad-mouthing to friends, family, and / or co-workers. By the time you tell your story, the audience has already heard theirs. Triangulation, which means bringing in a third person, ex, family member, child, friend, someone who agrees with me, to destabilize your one-on-one experience. Creating wedge, meaning subtly turning you against your support system, often by relaying things they heard or by reframing innocent comments as attacks. Monitoring, they will track your time, location, phone, finances. Sometimes overt, often disguised as care. Their silent treatment / stonewalling means they will withdraw all communication for hours, days, weeks. Punishment without explanation. Subtle put-downs, the micro-jokes, eye rolls, sighs. Are you really wearing that? Delivered with plausible deniability, can't you take a joke, is a common narcissistic tactic. Moving the goalposts is also common. What was acceptable yesterday isn't today. You can never get it right because the rule keeps changing. They will use comparison to exes, family members, strangers, idealized standards, always unfavorable against their target. These are just a few of the tactics. There are many, many more. If you have been the target of a narcissist, these will resonate. You will feel confused, powerless, hurt, isolated. Narcissists are predictable. Once you learn the pattern, you cannot unsee it. These are some of the tactics they use. But how do you see these in person? How do you know if you are living with, working with, in a relationship with, or dealing with a narcissist? Here are some of the ways to spot a narcissist. You're too sensitive. This is their label for you when you respond appropriately to mistreatment. They use it so often you start believing it. The truth is the opposite. You're correctly attuned to being treated badly. They don't learn from their mistakes. Not, they're stubborn, or just don't understand yet. They genuinely are incapable of taking in feedback. You have the same conversation about the same hurt for years. Nothing changes. They might verbally apologize. But the behavior continues. The pattern of people who left them. Every ex is crazy. Every former friend is jealous. Every former employer was unfair. When the same story repeats with every relationship, the common variable isn't the other people. Intermittent reinforcement, the unpredictable cycle of reward and punishment, is the long game you have seen and beat. Word salad is a deliberate tactic to exhaust you into submission. Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Once you name it, it loses its power. Count the apologies. Narcissists don't apologize. Stable people do. There is no better test of a man's integrity than his behavior when he is wrong. Marvin Williams. Love bombing is not love. It is investment to buy your trust. Pay attention to the projected accusations. They are a confession. Future faking is a tactic. When you feel true love, you feel love in the present. The perpetrator doesn't see people, they see resources. The recurring cast of roles in a narcissist's orbit. Some are chosen by the narcissist, some emerge through the dynamic, but the pattern repeats across nearly every survivor account. The narcissist, the center of the system. Everyone else's role is defined in relation to them. The target, or primary supply. The person they're currently extracting from, emotional energy, attention, admiration, sex, money, status. Usually a romantic partner, but can be a child, parent, sibling, employee or close friend. The target is the one they put the most energy into love bombing, devaluing, and discarding. Often chosen for being empathetic, perceptive, capable, or accomplished. Qualities the narcissist wants to harness and contain. The golden child. The favored one. Usually a child, but can be a sibling or chosen relative. They reflect the narcissist's image back as proof of the narcissist's worth, praised, defended, given resources. But only as long as they perform the role. The golden child is not loved. They're used as evidence. Most golden children grow up with their own wounds, difficulty with criticism, fragile self-worth, fear of falling from grace. The scapegoat. The blamed one. Everything wrong in the system gets pinned on them. Often the most perceptive person in the family, the one who saw clearly and named it, which is exactly why they were targeted. Scapegoats are often the family member who eventually goes no contact. Many TSG survivors were the scapegoat in their original family before adulthood repeated the dynamic with a partner. The flying monkeys, the narcissists' enforcers, named after the Wizard of Oz. They deliver messages, apply pressure, monitor, gossip, and guilt trip on the narcissist's behalf. Often without realizing they're doing it. They believe the narcissist's version of events. Common flying monkeys, in-laws, mutual friends, religious leaders, concerned family members. Your mother is so worried about you. He's really trying, you know. The enabler. The one who maintains the system by refusing to confront the narcissist. Often, the other parent, a long-time spouse or a loyal friend. They see it. They know. They've made a choice, conscious or not, that the cost of confronting the narcissist is higher than the cost of letting the abuse continue. Enablers often appear kind, but their silence is structural. They will defend the narcissist when the scapegoat finally speaks up. The triangulation partner. The third person introduced into a two-person dynamic to destabilize the target. An ex who's still close. A co-worker who really gets them. A new friend who suddenly knows things about the target's life. Sometimes the triangulation partner is aware. Often they're being manipulated too. Their function is to make the target feel replaceable, jealous, or unstable. The audience. The wider social world the narcissist performs for. The book club, the LinkedIn network, the church, the neighborhood, social media, followers. The audience sees the charming public version and reinforces the narcissist's self-image. The audience is also why the smear campaign works. They've been primed before the target says anything. The discarded former targets. Exes, estranged children, fired employees, friends who changed. The narcissist has a story about each of them, always casting themselves as the wronged party. The discarded are evidence to anyone paying attention. The pattern of how every previous relationship ended is one of the clearest tells. The replacement or secondary supply, the next target, lined up before the current one is fully discarded. Often introduced through triangulation while the current target is still in the picture. The replacement gets the love bombing the current target used to receive, which is part of why discards are so disorienting. Once you identify the pattern, every character in the play becomes recognizable. That recognition is the beginning of your freedom. The golden child and the scapegoat are two sides of the same system. Both are harmed. The scapegoat just knows it sooner. The scapegoat is almost always the most perceptive person in the room. Congratulations for being exceptionally perceptive. Flying monkeys carry messages they don't understand. Flying monkeys are not evil. They are manipulated, but that doesn't make them safe. Remember the characters, the perpetrator, the flying monkeys, the scapegoat. No one chose their role. There you have it, the first education on narcissists. Emotionally immature narcissists have existed throughout history, studied by the great thinkers of our time. There are many different types of narcissism. Someone can have traits of more than one, or the perpetrator can have multiple kinds of narcissism. There are tactics, patterns of behavior the narcissists use to hurt their targets. These are often invisible or designed to be untraceable. They are hard to understand their existence in the first place, let alone prove to anyone outside of the characters that this is happening. And knowing the characters is critical to recognize who is part of this complex social enterprise. So if you are listening to this to help straighten out confusing social dynamics, listen to your intuition. Your instincts are real, and no, you're not crazy. It's time to trust yourself. Trust your instincts. People who repeatedly attacked your confidence and self-esteem are quite aware of your potential. They don't have the capacity to love as much as you deserve. Look inward, believe in your truth. There are many survivors of emotional abuse. This is step 2 of 4 from the Survivor's Guidebook. The first step is awareness. The second step is education. Education is power. The more you know about your emotions and the emotions of the people around you, the better you can frame your life to be emotional abuse survivors too. If you think you are part of an emotionally abusive relationship, if any of this resonates, please find trusted companions, mentors, mental health professionals who can help. And we have affirmations to help you unlearn who you were told you were, rewire your thoughts, and thrive just as you are. This guidance is for you, so you can survive and thrive too. We believe you.